Hey guys, welcome to tmisfit.com. Today we want to take an opportunity to explain our backgrounds, the mission behind the website, and give you guys some more information about what we're going to offer for services on the website. These two fools hand fighting in the background are going to start talking about stuff here in a second. But before we let them say anything, we're going to do a little coach's bio background, so you guys actually know who's behind all the amazing content and all the ideas and delivering as much value to you guys as coaches and gym owners as possible. And we're going to start by talking to Hunter Wood, who's going to give you a little background about himself.
Hey guys, so my name's Hunter. I started coaching in about 2012. I actually wandered into the first Misfit location, the original. Actually met Seth, kind of convinced him to let me do some of the beginner's work, and eventually just kind of took off from there, continuing to coach regular classes throughout my time at MF. I left MF for a while to do for some service in the military.
What'd you do? Tell them. Don't be modest.
I was a combat engineer officer in the Marine Corps. So I, obviously a pretty big part of the military is physical fitness. So I continued to train, worked with the Marines that I trained or that I was in charge of or got the opportunity to lead, tried to teach them some of kind of the basics of fitness and training and whatnot. And then also coached at an affiliate, a gym out in California. When I had the free time, I was pretty occupied. And then recently just came back to the new MF location, have been coaching here for a few months, but been coaching, been pretty involved in the community over the last 5-6 years pretty heavily. So definitely what I'm passionate about.
Awesome. What about you, Dex? Dex Hopkins?
Oh, me.
Yeah.
I'm Dex. Found CrossFit 2011. Been a while.
OG?
Through a buddy in college. I just wanted to supplement my training for college football and thought it was stupid at first, but found out it wasn't. Helped a lot with football, so I dug that, and then it kind of took over that competitive avenue. And I always thought I was going to be a high school teacher and football, and this kind of changed that up. So we got into Mississippi CrossFit, so where my first job was. I'd never coached a class.
What year was that?
That was 2012, end of it. So 2012, got the job there after teaching for a year. Decided that wasn't for me. Actually, the interview was a noon class I coached. I'd never coached a class before. The lady had no idea.
Did you crush it?
Oh, destroyed. She was like, it was a Friday. I coached that class, packed my stuff that Saturday, moved home to start on Monday.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, it was cool. It was super.
And how long were you at Mississippi CrossFit for?
3 years, 2 years, 2 or 3. Until I met my wife when we moved to Kentucky. And then we were at CrossFit Maximus for a while, and valuable experience there on that team and just kind of every facet of it. But backtrack to, what was it, 2014? Met the boys at a camp.
Yeah, 2014.
So I didn't stumble into the original garage. Was it somebody's garage? Was it the first
he was we were at our
So I
Warren
guess
Ave.
second,
Yeah, second.
whatever.
But we, so didn't stumble into that. I had been coaching for a minute, and we were all getting ready for regionals, came to a camp out of spite, to spite camp, because I said it was stupid.
You wanted to prove us wrong.
Yeah, I did.
Idiots.
But then
Good try.
sweet Ted and the boys just made me fall in love.
Sweet.
No, but since then, man, we've all been cool. We meshed really well as I grew as a coach and kind of, we all stayed in touch, stayed close, and then was able to grow my role with you guys. And as I grew as a coach, so that's been a cool thing. And now I'm at a Misfit affiliate in Louisville, Kentucky, Derby City. So heading up their kind of coaches development and running their day-to-day with the things we'll be having on the site.
Cool. Last but not least, Matthew Sherburne. Everybody who has been involved with Misfit over the years should know Sher by now.
No, one of my names. I don't know which name you know.
Sure.
Mac, Shirt,
But
Sharb,
If
Churb.
you don't know his
Sharp.
background, he's got quite an extensive background and a pretty impressive resume in the fitness field.
So I found CrossFit in 2009, did one workout, didn't do another one for like a year because I thought it was stupid. Kind of like Dex did.
3 minutes is
We all
gone.
thought that.
Got back into it after I was getting out of college, looking for something to do. Realized that my undergraduate degree wasn't really something I wanted to really do because I didn't really have an interest in like psychology. So I went to grad school. That's where I started coaching. That was right around 2011. A situation happened where I kind of fell into a role of like they were a very small gym and they wanted to expand their offering, and there was an issue with another coach that provided me the opportunity to start coaching. And I went from coaching like one class like once a week to coaching basically every single class they had there. Graduated grad school, had 2 offers when I came home. One was with Misfit and one was another gym in our area. Thankfully, I chose the right one, even though it wasn't maybe the best financial decision, but
long term it is.
Long term, it definitely was. At the face value, I was like, man, I'm screwed. I just spent, $40,000 on education, and I'm gonna make $10 a month.
Decide to work for us in a garage.
You only spent $40,000 on your education?
No, way more. But I'm lowballing it right now.
That sounds
so
great.
I came home, and Drew and Seth, who had operated CrossFit MF, which is the home of Misfit Athletics as we know it, were looking for a head coach. They were kind of going through a transitional period and offered me the opportunity to coach at their gym. I'm now going on year 6 here, and while my role at the gym has changed over the last 6 years, I'm really passionate about helping people reach their goals. And I really like the coaching side of things. I kind of felt like Dex, in terms of like, I thought I'd be a teacher if I wasn't what I'm doing. And that's kind of been me since I've been little, like, hey, you'd excel as a teacher. And that's kind of what I am on a daily basis.
It's true. And you left out 2 big things I think are important for people to know. One, you opened a second affiliate with us that is as successful or more successful than the first one. And you had that up and you run that. You're the GM essentially of all that. And you didn't even mention you got a master's degree. Like, yeah, I mean, I know we can brush that off a lot of times, but the education is like,
education is definitely important. And what's cool about the program that I went into is it really afforded me the opportunity because it was a graduate program. They kind of see it as these people are going to have jobs and outside activities. I had a lot of downtime. Like I had an academic requirement, but I had a lot of downtime, and that afforded me the opportunity to become a coach. And that experience in Pennsylvania where I was allowed me to come home and have these guys at least have some level of trust in me to take over the job. And thankfully I didn't screw it up to the point where I'm still here. So there's that.
So that's a pretty good introduction, I think, of what you guys have to offer. And it's important for people, I think the people watching who really want to understand what it is that we're offering, which we're going to get into depth here in a second, understand you guys as coaches and people and connect with the personalities. I mean, we've already goofed around a little bit shooting an informative video because that's just the type of people that we all are. And I think that, that realistic personality shining through helps people connect with, what it is that we do and our brand and our message and how we've been successful with our gym. So I think you guys kind of let that shine through, which is really cool. Who now, I'll throw this out there, wants to explain a brief overview of what teammisfit.com has to offer people?
I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Essentially what we were trying to do with teammisfit.com is essentially provide a one-stop shop for any affiliate owner looking to improve the quality of their product. Essentially our goal is we realize there are a lot of affiliates out there, a lot of gyms out there that put out a product and they're probably, content with the product, but they are always looking, if they're really striving to be better, looking for ways to improve their product. And our goal essentially is to provide resources to help them do so because early on when we started our website, it was here's some workouts. People started to gain trust in us. They started following our stuff. And over time, we kind of built that clout up in terms of developing high-level athletes. Well, we also have a ton of experience inside the day-to-day normal gym setting.
Right.
And we've come together to figure out kind of what we think are best practices and the best way to approach certain things like developing coaches or running an effective class or talking about how important things are in your warm-ups. That's really what this website is about, is to give as many resources to that affiliate owner or coach who's looking to improve the quality of what they give so that when someone goes to your gym and they know it's a Team Misfit gym, they know they're going to get the absolute best experience, which is something that's really important to us. We don't want to have, gyms out there who really want to do better but don't know the steps, not have the opportunity to take in some information from us and turn that into a better product for the people on the floor.
And when you say like the gyms to do better, I think it's important that people understand they associate the brand Misfit with being competitive or being aggressive or being whatever it is in the fitness field. But the gym does not need to be competitive in the sense that their athletes all need to be superstars. They need to be almost competitive in the business field or how they deliver the quality of product to their consumers and things like that.
Yeah, to be very clear, we do offer competitive programming for gyms looking to like follow a version of Misfit Athletics competitor blog at their gym, which is, or we also have a second option that's really just about like, hey, we're looking to improve the quality of your product, whether that means your gym is full of soccer moms or young kids or grandmothers.
You mean program? You're referring to
just the programming aspect.
Yeah. We're trying to appeal to everyone here in terms of like, you follow this methodology. This is how we best think the class is run, and we want to give you the steps towards doing that. And you know, as much experience as we have with our elite athletes, we have just as much, if not more, experience with the average person, because for all of our gyms, that makes up 99.9% of the people that come to our classes. They are not games athletes. Right. It's nice to have them sprinkle in and jump in a class every once in a while, but that's not your everyday member. And that's who we're trying to appeal to when we're trying to improve your product, is making sure that the 99% of your customers that come in have that great experience, realizing they're not going to be those high level competitors.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note that like on the affiliate level, like those are the people, like kind of the average people, the everyday member, the 99%. Though, like, at least in my opinion, those are the people that I like to coach. Like the competitors are fun and stuff. Like, it's fun to watch people go really fast, but as far as like making an impact on somebody, I think there's a little bit more room to, like, more to be gained from teaching those people and improving the product that we provide those people, which is really like the audience that we're trying to target with through the coaches themselves, like teaching the coaches to value those members, be a better coach for those people.
And if you think about the overall message here, and if we're trying to improve the product of the quality of the gyms, like think about the impact you have on people's lives. It's not like, hey, I added 5 pounds to your snatch. It's like, hey, I added 5 years to your life. And that to me is a very rewarding endeavor and something I'm very passionate about, because, you know, as much as I like to high five someone when they hit a 10-pound PR on the snatch, like it's way cooler to me when you're like, hey, look at my triglycerides. They dropped by 100 points in the last year. And now I can play with my grandkids. Like those are the big picture things that I think often, you know, our name is synonymous with big numbers and fast times and the competitive aspect of the sport, but that doesn't mean that we don't have plenty of knowledge to impart upon the rest of our community in terms of how to best help these people. And to me, that noble cause is what really gets me out of the bed in the morning. That's why I want to go to the gym, is because I can help change someone's life.
And that's why I like the 99% is who we deal with, and that's such a long game to play with people. And if we're going in and there's not that many very easily accessible resources for people to pick up that information now. I mean, you know, I have to go and pay such and such, but what we're looking to do is put out a lot of free content that's just a huge toolbox to help you grow the things that you can offer to those people. And so now you can live by yourself your whole life. You can go play with the grandkids. You're not a guy that cuts the vacation short with his family because you get super tired, you know, and you don't have to have somebody come live with you or be a burden to your family. And that's kind of the approach I've always had. Is I do love, like, and some of those people are some of my really good friends. Nothing's wrong with a big chest pump after we're competing and stuff, but that's not the everyday. Like that's a blimp on the radar of that long, long timeline. And so if we're really honing in on strengthening the program from a health and wellness standpoint, and if it's you know, the gym I'm at now, we run MF. Or we run Misfit, and it's beautiful because the way we've laid out things, and a lot of it's reflected in the website and the offerings, is that we've narrowed down the details of how to format that stuff for an affiliate class, what to focus on, how to facilitate seeing, queuing, scaling individually for everybody. And I don't think I've seen a class of less than 20 there, and I know that's not always the case. But if on that scale consistently it can work really well, I'm excited to see how these tools fit into other places and how big that ripple can get.
So, well, go ahead.
I'll say one thing I was going to add to it, and you actually unintentionally said this. One thing that's really important to us is that with this site, we're curating content that we all think is valuable for the coach. It's not, hey, go get lost in the internet somewhere and try to find all these things. We're trying to make that like one-stop shop. So if there's a topic that you're trying to find or figure out or get better at, whether that's your knowledge base or how to cue an athlete better or understand scaling or logistics, we want this site to be that one spot where you can come for all those things.
So you've both led me right into my next question. Is we've talked a little bit about, you know, offering 2 versions of programming for gyms to be able to run classes more effectively. But then you've talked about putting out content, some free, some pay, whatever, all this different content to help run your class. What exactly are we offering other than programming? What exactly is that content, and how does that exactly help those coaches and owners run the gym?
So a lot of people don't have any kind of format. It's all kind of up in the air, like what's your good class, right? So if I've gotten a job and you don't tell me exactly what that job is, I don't know if I'm doing well. So what we're looking to do is give a best practices of how I've flowed through classes, how Hunter's done it, and just a collective knowledge from experience of what we think is the best practice from 0 to 60 in your class, what it looks like to build out warm-ups, how it looks to incentivize, to build context around what you're looking for the workouts, and how to set people up to be taken care of through those things. And that'll be some of the free content that comes out.
And so you say content of these articles or these videos?
Oh, it's both. It'll be both. There's a journal section.
Yeah, so the site, you can kind of think of the site as like the free half, which is probably the majority of it. And then if you are a gym that's interested in paying for programming, which we'll talk about in depth in a minute here, you can do that as well. But basically, you can just log on to the site. We do ask you to create an account. It's totally free, no credit card or anything required. And then you can view the content. Some of the stuff that Dex was talking about specifically is like some class or some coaches' tools. So for example, we've created a tool that allows you to set up a class, basically how you want the class to flow. It's called the class planning tool. We've also got
explain that to me.
Yeah, so it's like you come in the morning or the night before, hopefully, and you take a look at the workout. And as the coach, we want coaches to be preparing for themselves ahead of time. And I think the difference between like an average kind of class and just something that people get through 1 hour to the next, and the difference between that and a really good class is as little as like 10 or 15 minutes of a coach doing like a little bit of prep work, thinking about the workout, thinking about the class flow, thinking about what the warm-up's going to look like.
So is this a worksheet where I actually like write out my flow of classes that I can use?
Worksheet breaks it down in kind of in order from start to finish with things that you should be thinking about. Go through a warm-up, a specific warm-up. If you have multiple training pieces like a lift and a workout, there's a space for you to put that. There's a little box that kind of provides you with some scaling, or doesn't provide you with, but allows you to write down scaling options, thinking about kind of your entire class, because you're probably going to have to scale some athletes. And then there are some other considerations that we put on the sheet for you to think about. So what if I have a weird day where there's like 5 extra people in class? What if I don't have enough equipment to deal with this? What are some other options? How can I, what do I need to think about when I'm laying out the floor for the class? So logistics and safety, all that kind of stuff.
Could a head coach or a owner who writes this plan out give this to another coach and have them execute it?
So
perfectly?
The sheet, that tool is blank. It's meant to be like a coach prints it off, looks at their workout, and then takes that workout and writes their plan out. But a head coach could absolutely provide them with ideas, or if a head coach really wanted to kind of control it a little bit better, the head coach could absolutely like lay that out for their coaches.
Yeah.
And we understand some coaches prefer that. Some coaches like to be kind of told what they should be teaching. They're better at just teaching it rather than thinking through those things.
It feels to me like it would help deliver a more consistent experience across the entire day when
absolutely.
You have 3 to 4 different coaches in your gym, coaching anything from a 5 a.m. as late to a 8 or 9 p.m. in some gyms, and you have different styles and different personalities. But if you can organize your thoughts in the way that you want the class to be experienced as the head coach or owner or whatever, I think that would help deliver a much more effective, consistent experience.
Yeah, and
consistency is huge, because if you think of any other company, if you were to purchase from somebody, sometimes you got a good product, sometimes you didn't, you're more off to cancel that membership or just any other thing. So
why does attendance at your 5 p.m. class keep dropping? Like what's this coach not doing?
You have some now ammo as a business owner or box owner or manager to talk about things. This gives you a chance to like, hey, maybe your class isn't consistent. Here's something to help you with that consistency. Because like my affiliate that we own together, like if I found out a certain class wasn't attended well, my first step is to go, all right, what's going on in that class? And then if I find out it's because some days the energy's high and people are doing well, and some days it seems like there's organized chaos, some days and we never end on time. Those are all things I want to know about, and then we can set up a conversation with the coach and be like, all right, I think you would benefit from this because this will now help you think ahead. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely taken a class at another affiliate and been like, are they just winging it the whole time? Or does this class, like, we went to the games, we dropped into the gym in Wisconsin, and it was excellent. The class was run on the second, the entire hour. I was like, this guy thinks about his class before he does it.
Right.
And that's what I want my coaches to do at my affiliate, is to have, you know, maybe not every second, but more or less the whole thing planned out so they can deliver that message they're trying to deliver.
So we just talked for like 5 minutes about just one of the tools. Give me one more really good one, like a big benefit to a head coach or an owner, like another tool that we'd be offering on the site before we start talking about programming and other things.
So the other one currently live is the, we call it the TMF 140, Team Misfit 140.
Sounds very militaristic, your title on that.
We just wanted like a cool number in there. Like, no, it's an evaluation. It's a coach's evaluation tool, and it's meant to be one coach evaluating another. So from start to finish, that coach just kind of sits in the back, isn't a distraction, isn't coaching the other members. He's just sitting, going through the checklist, and kind of evaluating how this coach is doing on 14 different metrics that we think compose a really good class. The sheet kind of has great criteria, rubric, kind of the standard, what we think is like the standard should be, and then also like here is we call it the sub 2-minute Fran. Like that is the pinnacle of like you ran that
knocked
perfectly.
It out of the park.
Using that as an analogy, not actually being able to do a 2-minute Fran.
Yeah, we expect you all to do 2-minute Fran by the end of the week.
Yeah.
But so what's important about that is for your community of coaches is I'm creating a communication. It's very objective. The things I'm laid out aren't preference. Like, well, I didn't like that class, man. Why not? I just didn't.
Yeah, right.
And I've heard that.
Oh, of course.
I hear it all the time.
Yeah, and so it's and that's what it is you're creating what I know is a good class. Here are these very objective things. You see them ahead of time. I can reflect with you afterwards, and then we can move forward. And then that makes it to where the all-star team that should be your coaching staff, you know, everybody can't make the team. So if I'm on the team, I need to be performing at a high level to stay there, right? So it's very objective. It's very easy to track those things, and you should have every coach do it. It shouldn't be one guy that kind of rules over it. Like the way we've done it at Derby City is kind of collectively. I'm evaluating you, you're evaluating me. We speak on it. We can have those hard conversations. It makes it really easy to have those and to kind of remove emotion and weird stuff from it when I can say, hey, here's these objective things I'm seeing. Here's how we can move forward. So you're not just bashing somebody. You're really kind of watering seeds for them to grow into a better role as a coach.
And I think what's really important at it too is like, this isn't like you do this once and you're done. This is something you can check back in on and to make sure that the people that you are putting in charge of delivering your message on a day-to-day basis are making important strides towards improving the things they aren't good at. So like if you have a great coach, has great like knowledge of all of the class, but can't communicate, you know, you have an actionable thing to work on. Like, hey, you need to work on your delivery. You either talk too much or don't talk enough. Or maybe, you know, you're a great orator. You can speak to someone all day, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And it seems like sometimes you tell someone they should be pulling, they should be pressing or something like that. Right. You now have actionable things to be like, well, it's, you know, it's now Q2. We checked in Q1. Did you improve over the last quarter? Yep. And if you didn't, you now have ammunition as a box owner to be like, listen, I don't want to put you on like thin ice here, but it's important that we deliver a message and we hold a certain, you know, level of performance at our facility. We want you to uphold that. And if you aren't making the strides, it then becomes an easier conversation to have. We're like, you know, maybe this isn't going to work for us. But our hope is that it doesn't lead to firings of coaches. It helps coaches develop into better coaches.
What you want to do is raise the bar. And like if we're all on the team and I know that my performance not just makes me look bad as a squad, you know, and that's how invested you are in it is if I'm out here putting on the best product I can, we're giving each other feedback to make sure that bar stays high and continues to be raised, then everybody wins. And there's nobody being singled out or anything.
I think it's just important to think about it this way is that in CrossFit, we find a lot of alpha type personalities, right? Especially coaches, people who want to lead typically have some form of alpha personality going on. And alphas don't always take criticism the best, right? Especially as a coach, you're a leader and someone else says, you could have done this better. And, you know, a lot of times the reaction is to be defensive or to just flat out deny or just not take it that well. But if you have regular feedback and a tool to give consistent feedback on important topics, it helps break down that like shell that you build around yourself that you won't accept. Yeah, exactly. That you won't accept the criticism. And if you have normal back and forth on things like that, it actually is constructive and can break down the fear of being judged or criticized, which I think would hold somebody back the most as a coach from growing. So just that in itself to me makes the whole thing worth it. Like put business, growing your business aside, being able to have people you can rely on and have honest and open conversation with, knowing they're going to lead your community. That's everything. That's the make or break of the community. You have people you can't trust that are not taking criticism well, not delivering the message and the product you want to deliver. You'll just kill your gym. The business aside, yeah, you'll lose all your money, but you'll just kill your gym.
Expose the poison with that, right? So if you can't receive feedback, and if you hear it as me attacking you through a very objective sheet, it's not a personal thing. Yeah, if that's what you hear when I wrote down like 2 on the presents or something like that, you're not in the mindset to grow with the group.
Correct.
And you'll weed yourself out, and it'll be on you. And that's what it is giving everybody responsibility for their part in the product and keeping the bar high.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just like one of those things where if you had a conversation, it's like, I didn't like your class, like that's just not good enough feedback. So like having these 14 metrics gives you plenty to think about. And, we have at the bottom kind of like a notes or a homework section. Like that's where you can give the coach, here's what you should do to kind of work on it, rather than just saying, I gave you a 2 and we had a conversation about it, but you actually give them some homework to go away with, like, hey, here's a book you should read, or maybe you should brush up on your anatomy, or maybe you need to take an evening class on public speaking. Maybe that's not your strong suit, or like, those are all little things that can go a long way, because delivering this package isn't easy. This is not an easy job. People sometimes look at coaching as, oh, your job's not that bad. You work like 4 hours a week or 4 hours a day, whatever.
Bro.
It's like, it's a performance. Like you're trying to deliver an A+ like Broadway award-winning performance every single time you deliver an hour. And we want to make sure that we can grade you on that. And if you're not there, here are the steps to work on it. So
I think as this community, like the entire functional fitness CrossFit community grows, I think it started off as like a, coaches we're still at a point where coaches are kind of like maybe it's like a part-time thing or whatever. Like there aren't a ton of gyms where like being a coach is your full-time career and profession. We want to move in that direction. I think I'd be surprised if any gym would argue that they don't want to move in that direction. But what we're trying to do is kind of create that culture of treating your coaching as a profession. Like you have a tremendous ability to impact people on a daily basis. Like there are very few professions where you have that opportunity to make a serious impact on someone's life on a daily basis, like
levels,
hands-on, like on a lot of different levels. And but you only have an hour to do it for the most part, for most of us. And if you want to treat that as a profession, you need to be thinking about it as such and taking it as seriously as it should be.
And even if that's a part-time thing, some people only coach a couple hours a week. And I still think that's, even if that is your part-time gig, there's nothing wrong with supplementing your income as being a part-time coach, but you can still take it as serious when you're in the moment for that hour with those people, even if it's not your career. As a business owner who can't hire, let's say, 4 full-time coaches, you have to have some part-timers to fill hours. You still want those people taking it serious, and they can still go through the same rigors and expectations and everything else as your full-time coaches. And it doesn't give a part-timer an excuse to just like brush off their responsibilities. Like if they want to be part of the team or the A squad or whatever you called the all-star team, like they still have to perform and they have to play a role, even if it's a lesser role than others.
Right. And it's important as a coach to realize that your paying member they're paying a premium for the service. The gyms that we run are not cheap. They're not your Globo gym, but it's because you're being provided with a very high level product and service. And that paying client doesn't necessarily care if you're part-time, full-time, owner, head coach, whatever. They want
bad day,
having a good day, bad day. They want to be provided the service that they're paying for. So,
all right, I like that. So that's just a little bit of the free content. That was 2 tools we talked about. I'm going to fire off a little bit of the things that we are offering for free. I'm going to kind of go around the circle here, and I want you guys just to explain it in like 30 seconds what it is that we're offering. So what are the movement templates? So
movement templates are basically printable sheets that you can hand your members, give them obviously some context as to what it is, and they can run the program on their own. For example, I'm a beginner. I want to get better at push-ups. We have a beginner push-up template that you can print off. The 3-day-a-week for 4-week template that allows this individual to kind of be able to do stuff on their own with a little bit of guidance from the coach and improve a specific movement that they want to do on their own or that's holding them back.
All different movements for them.
Yep.
Basic movements.
Yep.
Cool. All right, Dex, moving on to you. Explain to me the library.
The library is a collection of things that we've thought are very valuable to either growing your knowledge base from just a huge umbrella of stuff, body mechanics, anatomy stuff, energy systems, things like leadership, development, things like that. It's just a really wealth of knowledge in one place where you can click around and kind of fill that bucket.
Cool.
And they're to be clear, books. So they're
yes.
like titles, book recommendations on
things
the
that we've read
topics.
in the past that we think would be valuable for a coach trying to develop their craft.
The blog.
So, along with all these well thought out and very like curated things, we also want to have a blog where the idea is essentially a small topic, very quick. Have you ever talked about your membership with, hand care or something very simple that you could pass along and talk about how you'd improve the member's experience? So like for me, it'd be like, have you ever talked to your members about tearing their hands? Have you ever addressed the grip? Here's what we'd look for in a good grip. Pass this along to your members. And that's as simple as a blog post would be. Just little things to improve the experience because, not all of us have grew up in CrossFit, 10 years ago, watching K-Star videos or seeing this and that, and they wouldn't even know who that is. So it's like, stuff that we've gained as knowledge that maybe is not common knowledge to some of the newer CrossFit coach. Here's a real quick actionable thing you can bring to your community and hopefully improve their experience.
Awesome. Finally, articles.
Yeah, kind of articles.
Sounds straightforward.
Yeah, articles can just be thought of kind of expanded, more in-depth blog posts. We just go a little bit further in depth, more stuff to read, more thoughts, maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say sciencey, but just a little bit more developed than the blog posts. A couple that are live right now are movement specific. So that kind of tie in well with the movement templates, but things like how to correct certain movement patterns in certain movements, faults to look for, kind of gold standards for what we'd like to see in specific movements, that kind of stuff. But articles can just be thought of as more
taking
detailed.
a blog topic and kind of running with it.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep.
More in depth.
So moving away from the free content, one of the biggest services we're offering is obviously programming for a gym. It's as a gym owner, I mean, it just happens that I program a lot. People who follow Misfit Athletics know that's what I do, basically full time. But because I do that, probably more than anybody else ever, I know how rigorous it is and how time consuming it is and how a lot of business owners, coaches, gym owners who have all the other responsibilities on their plate don't have hours a week to sit down and write something that's very thoughtful, very thorough, complete, and is a very high quality service or product for their community. So that's something that we are trying to take off their plate for them and offer them something that we know works really well. We already mentioned that we have a couple options. So there's a competitor's option for the gym that wants a little more and has more of the competitive style community. And we have the GPP option, which is those who just want their general physical preparedness, their fitness. They want to be able to run and execute a simple but really well developed plan into infinity. And why don't you guys talk about that real quick?
You want to talk GPP, Sherb?
Sure. So at our second location, the Wyndham location here in Maine, we have a gym that started off with a little bit of the competitor stuff. And as I kind of grew with the gym, I realized that there were certain things that the gym really needed. And to me, how I look at this is that, when I started CrossFit, like a lot of us that have been doing it for a while, we started with CrossFit.com. We just liked the fact that it was kind of random. There were more things to be exposed to. It was fun doing unique things every single day and not knowing kind of what's coming kind of thing. So the GPP essentially takes that like original CrossFit model, but puts a little bit more thought into some of the pieces because we all know how challenging it would be if you just wrote like 10K run on your board and no one would show up to your class.
Attendance was zero today.
I had no one come to my gym. So essentially what we're looking to do is to keep the stimulus very broad and diverse. unlike our traditional competitor programming, there's not like a test and retest week. We periodically test certain CrossFit elements like you would see no different on like kind of a main site. But the idea again is to give some more like background and knowledge into why we're doing it this way and what it really lets a coach do. And I really like this. Gives them a plenty of opportunity to really shine and demonstrate that they can run a really, really well-run class. Because to me, that's super important. Like, yes, it's important to give your members a really good stimulus, but you need to make sure that you can fill that hour from 0 to 60 and that everyone leaves going, not only did I get a little bit fitter, but I learned a little bit something and I had a good time doing it. And to me, this style of class really affords all that opportunity and really challenges the coach to kind of flourish where sometimes there's a little bit less in the class.
Yeah. And what I like about the GPP program is I think it's well suited for gyms who have coaches who like to have that creativity and that freedom, because it's not, the volume is a little bit lower. You're getting 1 or 2 training pieces per day with the GPP program. And that allows that coach to really think about, you know, we've all kind of had this argument, like what happens on the 7x1 strict press day? Like how does a coach make that like sexy, make that fun when a member comes in and either looks at the board or looks online the night before and sees that they're going to do that, you know, they're expected to do 7 strict presses. Like not super exciting, but a coach who like is well prepared can absolutely fill that with all kinds of value, like you were talking about. So
it frees you up. I mean, like you said, if I know the plan going in, I know it's been well thought out. I haven't stressed about it, like, oh, is this going to work in this class? Because I've done that before. When I first started, I'd program stuff, 6 a.m. class, did not go well, super calling an audible, like hot route. But it's cool and it's liberating to be able to get out there and just coach, to run through the class, knowing what's going on, knowing what's coming, and to flex your coach muscles a little bit. So that's what I've seen when we run stuff or running Misfit in our affiliate, is that it frees you up to be able to go and do as a coach and not stress about those things.
Well, to be clear too, Derby City does do our competitor programming.
We do. That's a good segue.
What's really nice about that is even with a little bit more volume on the plate, it's still written with the intent of being able to finish the core class within the hour.
So hang on, just so we're clear, we've ended GPP. We're going to talk about the second option, which is the competitor program, and I don't even know if that's necessarily
that's a misnomer for sure.
Yeah, because I don't want people to think they're eating this insane amount of volume. It's just so in my perspective, and you can change my mind on it if you'd like. I like to think of the GPP versus the competitor. The GPP values the class experience over the amount of fitness that we're delivering. Like, so the competitor would be maybe a little more volume, still good experience. I'm not demeaning that, but the emphasis is on how can we kind of give people that little extra to get the edge, I would say, versus GPP is about, I want to get fit, but the overall experience I take away each day, I want that to be greater than the fitness I take away each day.
Yeah.
And you can change my mind about that, but that's how it's in my head.
Pretty close to what I would say.
Okay.
So I would just say less volume, because we follow really closely with the blog. Before this was even a thought, it was what we were doing. And the class experience, I feel like, is really good. We're very deliberate about how we structure it, 0 to 60 warm-up wise, transitions and stuff like that are where we get to shine for the coaching. And in the warm-up, we structure it to where we can do all that stuff. And, you know, that's on the site. But it's the way we've done it, and this is, you know, pretty exclusive to there. I don't know how other people have done it, but our normal class, you come to 5:30 p.m., hey, it's a GPP class. We're going to do, it's like, say there's 4 pieces on the blog. We're cutting it in half. First part, we're going to do the strength. We're going to do a Metcon. It's formatted on a timeline. So as a coach, I know exactly how long this is going to take.
Right.
Front end warm-up wise, and letting you get to your working set. So I'm actually driving some kind of adaptation and you're getting your work in instead of, you know, that 7x3 back squat. It's actually 4 warm-up sets and 3 work sets where I'm not really getting a whole lot of work. So we've structured that to where you can get that work in. I'm driving adaptation with the strength. The warm-up has gotten you ready for the Metcon. We'll bring you back in. We'll coach you up. We'll scale appropriately for everybody. And then we run the Metcon. Cool down. Classes. Slater that owns the gym will tell you he'll lose his mind if you run over. And run over is like you did not finish 4 minutes ahead of time.
Right.
So, but we're really good about it. I don't think we've had one, and I've been there 6 months. But so that's how we do that. Hour 2, if you want to do that, optional, obviously. So you could treat that as the GPP. Hour 2, we have a competitors class to where it's just in our other space that I know a lot of people don't have. We're fortunate enough to have that. You can hit the other 2 pieces from the blog, or 1 piece if it's interval that day. Maybe we don't have 2. But in the flow of that has been, I've never seen it work like that. So I came to this place.
I was going to just add to what you're saying. Hunter actually has an article currently running on our website about earning volume. Yeah. Our competitor piece is definitely more, if you were to try to fit the warm up and the 3 pieces we provide on a 5-day per week basis inside an hour-long class, you would be mistaken. That is not the idea
not
there. We would like for you to see you do the warm up, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 typically being a strength piece and part 2 being some type of conditioning. And that third piece that's there is essentially an optional piece for people who have earned the right to do extra volume. And how I honestly have approached it in the past with other affiliate owners prior to, establishing this website is like, hey, you have the 5 days of the programming. You have that third piece on each one of these days. If people are really looking to do that, you write these pieces down on a whiteboard in your open gym section. And if you want to come in, if you really knocked it out of the park and you've earned the right to do it, it's on the board for you to do extra. So your extra work is structured. It's not just, I always snatch because I like to snatch every single day.
I pulled this piece off Instagram because some games I did yesterday.
That's what we do.
And that's risky because then you don't know, there's no one like managing the volume. There's no intent behind it. So what's cool about this is you get that third piece, but you also kind of get the intent behind it so that when a coach is talking to Billy Joe and she's like, I want to do this extra piece. And you're like, the way it's written is not for you. But if we do this version of it, now I can help you with that. And it's just not misguided effort that doesn't equal results, which is something we're trying to avoid.
And we're talking buy-in. The people at this gym, everybody writes down everything. They check with each other. So as far as like growing a community, it's really, it's insane how I've seen that work. And then taking a step back and just watching, that's what it does.
Well, the message is consistent. Again, we talked about this earlier. The message is consistent, the style is consistent, and the expectations are there. That's what helps the community form. If things are scattered all over the place, there's no rules, there's no concept of what somebody is supposed to do, what they're supposed to like, what they're supposed to follow. They just have to, they feel like they're out on their own. When you deliver a consistent, concise message, it's very easy to build that group that all knows what the road is that they're going down. Those expectations are there. They don't wonder what's happening when they come in the gym. They might wonder what the workout is, but they know they're going to be led through a warm-up. They know they're going to, they understand what's going to happen. That lets an athlete or a member be at much more ease in a gym and makes them more comfortable and more likely to be consistent and not worry about what's coming the following day because they know they're going to be taken care of.
They trust you, and at the same time, a lot of the membership that comes to your gym is looking for that like 1 hour release where they don't have to worry about the stress of their day or worry about how work went. They're there to just come in, tell me what to do, Bob, I'm in. And being able to know that we have their best interests in mind and to be able to know that every single time they come there, they're going to have a consistent experience. That's how you build a product where, you go out in the community and you mention your name. Everyone's like, oh, I heard such great things there. Not like, oh, I heard my uncle broke his arm there and then Billy Joe hurt her back there. And like, then all of a sudden people are not having a good experience and your name is no longer seen with excellence. And what we're trying to do is essentially create a gym of excellence from start to finish, whether that's walking in the front door, the status of your entire gym, your programming, your coaching, it's all A+.
And if you think people don't know, if the stuff's up in the air and random, they do.
And
they'll find something that's not. And then they'll start emailing you about it, or they'll email somebody else at another gym. So,
and I kind of just want to tie it together a little bit because we kind of started talking the competitor version. So you're like, we talked about you're getting a little bit more volume with it. You're getting a little bit more structure to it as far as like the strength work. So I've talked to a handful of gyms that really value, or their members rather, really value the ability to test and then retest something a few weeks later as just kind of confirmation that the program is working, I'm getting fitter or whatever. Which a lot of gyms really like and is super valuable. But one thing that we haven't really hit on is that both programs, we give warm-ups, descriptions, intended stimulus for every piece. So our goal
there's no guesswork.
Yeah, exactly. Our goal with it
minimizing guesswork.
Yeah, sure. Our goal with it was to you you print off that piece of paper with the daily plan, and you know exactly what you need to do from start to finish, with the exception of micromanaging your timeline.
Can people find an example of this somewhere?
Ooh, good question. Yeah. So on the
what I'm here for.
On the page under the programming tab, you've got your GPP and competitor programming. Click on those. It discusses everything that we just talked about, and you can download a sample week, an entire week of each, and that is the exact format that your program gets delivered in.
Okay.
And you actually pull it directly off the site.
So this is a ton of information we're throwing to everybody right away.
Yeah.
And probably the best way to get started is by actually signing up for their free account to start and start exploring the page. Remind everybody how to do that. Yeah, poke around. How do they do that?
All you do, go to teammisfit.com. You'll get prompted if you try to click on any of the free content to create an account. You can link it with your Facebook account. Just say like log in through Facebook, and that's real easy. Or you can just create a username and password. Just click the sign up button in the top right corner. Username, password. We don't want your credit card. We don't want anything like that. And then you can log in and view all of the free content.
Unless you want programming, then we do want your credit card, correct? So that is the
yes.
One last feature that we haven't touched upon yet. One of the things we used to do is we used to sell blocks, 3, 6, 12-month programming blocks. And a lot of gyms ask, could we pay monthly? It just makes more sense financially. So that is something that's actually new with our brand new website. You now have the option to pay monthly. It's a subscription base. So if after a month or two it's not working for you, all you have to do is go in and cancel your account. But a lot of gyms are just like, it's hard for my budgeting to throw down $1,000, $2,000 right up front. So here's a way to now make that a little bit more accessible for you guys.
It gives you the chance, if you want to kind of mess around with each program, see which one works best for you, or just, you know, if it doesn't work for you, then you're not locked into anything.
And the programming is about the price of one member.
Yeah, we wanted to make it a very affordable number, so we kind of use that like average cost of one membership at a gym in our area, and that's kind of the price point. So for one membership, per month, you guys can get your programming needs completely taken off your plate so that you can focus on other things like growing your community or advertising or whatever you prioritize as the most important thing with your gym. You now have one less thing to think about. Trust us to do so.
Well, I think that's enough to get everybody started. Yes. I hope they head over to the website and create their account if they haven't already. If you guys have questions for any of these three, you can find them on Instagram. You can find Team Misfit Gyms on Instagram as the actual official page. Team Misfit on Facebook. You can find more content on the Misfit Athletics YouTube channel. Reach out to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see offered as a experience or a service for your gym. This is still very new for as a product that we're putting out there, and we're going to continue to develop it, or these three are, and they want your feedback.
Yeah, it's super important that we get your feedback because we would like to tailor this to our community and what they are asking for. So, if there's a topic you want us to talk about, we're more than happy to do another like roundtable discussion like this, or if it's simply, taken care of in a blog post, we're happy to do. But, we'd love to get feedback on what you guys think.
Just to like kind of put a bow on it, like we do it because we really enjoy it. Like all four of us really like talk about this stuff pretty constantly and really enjoy doing it. So, it's a pretty cool privilege to be able to work for other gyms and other people who trust you with providing that information. We by no means know it all, but feel like we know enough that we can maybe help somebody else and steer them in the right direction while we continue to learn. So
cool. Yep. Well, guys, I hope that was helpful, and we look forward to connecting with all of you in the near future.
See you again soon.
Thanks.